Hi there, I'm Gable Collins, and in this video I'm going to be walking you through my weekly planning and goal setting process. So, I've had a couple of requests for a video on this, so I figured it's finally time to make it. And right now, as I'm filming it, it is Tuesday, but I started planning out my week on Monday, got a little busy, and finished it up just this morning. So, I'm going to walk you through each of the steps of my weekly goal setting, intention setting, and planning process based on what I did this week. So, the first step is to write down 5 goals for the week. Now, there's a lot that goes into choosing those 5 goals. I'll draw from my goals from last week that I didn't finish. I'll draw from my goals for the month and my goals for the year. Also, like what priorities I have that week. If there's like an important project coming up and I have to finish something for it, of course that will go into my goals. Most of them I make business goals because that just works better for me. I don't like having too much structure in my personal life, so I usually set mostly business goals, but sometimes I'll throw in a creative goal or a personal goal. With those 5 goals, I write them down in terms of priority, and I just determine that by how important is it that I reach this goal this week. So I'll walk you through my goals for this week. So I had that I wanted to make a certain amount of money this week, so that's the top goal. Second priority is to upload 2 new videos to this YouTube channel that you're watching this on, and if this makes it to the YouTube channel by this weekend, then I've won. You already know, I've done at least 1 video. There may be 2. That's the goal. My third goal for this week is to send out something to some people. So that's just like something that I wanted to make sure I didn't forget and would be important to do this week because it's kind of time sensitive. And then I wanted to start working on my next edition of my Mindfully Managing Mercury Retrograde journal. So instead of just saying start working on it, I wrote down the goal, plan out the new edition of. So plan it out. So make a structure of what I want to include in the journal. So keeping it specific, because if I said start working on it, I could work on it for 15 minutes and boom, there you go, I've completed the goal. So it's better if I say create a plan or plan out, which means create an outline. So that way I know for a fact whether or not I can actually tick off that goal. And then my lowest priority goal for this week is to create 2 Instagram Reels to publish next week. So I've been trying to publish a new reel on Instagram every day for 100 days. I don't know how far I'm into it at the moment, but my goal is just to, because I have more time this week than I have in past weeks, my intention is to make 2 more that I can publish next week, just take a little bit of the pressure off. And then the next part of my goal setting routine is to set an intention for the week. And I keep this very loose. It's just like, what kind of vibe do I want for the week? Where do I want my energy to be? How do I want to feel as I move through the days? So this week, my intention is productive, focused, balanced. So it's 3 words. Sometimes I'll use a phrase, sometimes it'll just be 1 word. It really depends. And then I have a daily budget, which is how much money I can spend each day of this week to stay on top of my financial goals. So that'll depend on what your financial situation looks like, and honestly, I don't often stick to that budget, but it's just like a good marker of where I'm at in terms of finances. And this is my favorite part of my weekly routine, is to create a grid. So I just draw some lines. That's pretty much it. And what it is it's my personal habit tracker for the week. So I don't set a lot of personal goals for the week, but I do want to track some healthy habits that I want to incorporate for my own personal well-being. So usually I'll throw in like a screen time limit, a certain amount of sleep I want to get, something like meditation or journaling. Recently it's been like adding a workout to my movement routines. also like a certain amount of water I want to drink every day. I'll show you right now what it looks like when I achieve one of these. So I just put a green check mark on the day when I have completed that one personal or that one healthy habit. And I like this because it's just a really nice way to see visually how consistent I've been with certain habits so that I can better determine where I need to put more of my attention in the next week. And then next to that grid, I will have a list of moons. So I will put next to that grid for each day of the week, I will write down what sign the moon is in for that day. And you may think that's because, she's an astrologer and she wants to, track the moon, which would help her plan. But actually, I don't use it for planning or intention setting. I could go into a whole video about why I don't use the moon, how other astrologers do. But my intention with putting the moon signs there is actually to help me with health. Because health is such a big focus for me, especially at the moment, the sign that the moon is in, and whether it's waxing or waning, helps me determine when it's a good time to be doing certain activities to support my health in certain areas. So I'll give you an example, because I think that sounds very vague. So I'll give you an example. So this weekend, the moon's going to be in Pisces on both Saturday and Sunday. And on Saturday, I was going to go for a long walk. But knowing that the moon is in Pisces, which is connected to the feet, it may be harder for me to go on that walk. I may experience more pain, so I have to keep in mind that if something else comes up, it's okay if I skip that walk because the moon's in Pisces and it might be a little much on me. And also, if I do end up going for that walk, I need to take extra special care of my feet afterwards by stretching them, or maybe wearing like some support things when I go for the walk to reduce pain because it's more likely. So that's how I use the moon in my planning, actually. Probably not what you expected. And then next to the moons, I write any important appointments or, things I want to do on that specific day there. So it's not a to-do list. I have very little space here to write this. I just write like if I have a call that I need to be on, or a live I wanted to attend, like a virtual live, like a Facebook Live or something. And also which days I have to do certain chores, like when I'm going to go grocery shopping, when I'm going to do cleaning, that sort of thing. And now for the last component of my weekly goal setting and planning process. And this isn't actually part of a weekly goal setting or planning thing. It's something I refer to at the end of every day to check in with myself. And it also helps me, remember what this day meant in my life. So I finally found a way. It took me months to fine-tune these questions after some trial and error, but I finally settled on the 3 questions that really help me record my day in a way that also helps me at the time. So in the future, it will serve as a point of reference of where I was at, what I was dealing with at the time. But in the moment as I'm writing it, it really helps me to check in with myself and see, mostly bring my attention to the positives of the day. Because I started doing this when I was in a very difficult place mentally. And this helped me at the end of the day to not get so caught up in all the, today was unproductive, today was meaningless kind of thoughts when I focused on these questions. So let's share these questions. Let me share them with you. So the questions are, number 1, what was the most magical moment of my day? Number 2, what am I most proud of myself for today? And number 3, what did I do today to get closer to where I want to be? And by closer to where I want to be, I don't mean my goals for the week or even my goals for the year. I mean, what have I done to help out my future self is basically my intention with that question. What have I done today to create a brighter future for myself tomorrow or next week? So these 3 questions really help me focus on what felt good about today, what felt magical and special. what am I proud of myself for doing? Like, what did I do today that I'm like, yeah, that was awesome. I'm proud of myself for getting that done. Because that's a more productive focus. Like, the most magical moment of my days can be something like dancing or, sharing a special moment with my sister or something like that. But when I move on to what am I most proud of myself for today, I can do something like, hit a money goal, made a sale, finally got around to that chore, decluttered a bit, which I haven't done in a few weeks. So I'm really proud of myself for that, But it could also be something like I took some extra time for myself. I made it to my yoga mat today, or I chose to rest when I wasn't feeling well. And then what did I do today to get closer to where I want to be helps me keep the long term in mind. And it usually brings me to things like taking care of my health or setting things up in my business. So they might not be things that I necessarily ticked off of my to-do list, or even completed, but usually when I answer that question, I usually say things like I got started on X, Y, or Z, or, I planned out X, Y, or Z. Like on a Sunday, my answer to that question will usually be, or at least usually include, planning out my week. So that's how I do it. I just write the headline for the day, like Monday, and then the 3 questions, leaving space to answer them, so that I don't have to spend time at the end of the day writing out the questions themselves, just my answers. And then at the end of the day, when I'm getting ready for bed, I will sit down, open up my journal, grab a pen, and write out my answers to those 3 questions for the day. Just a quick way to check in with myself and record a little bit about what that day meant to me. So there you have it. That's an overview of my weekly planning, goal setting, intention setting process, and I hope that it has inspired you to add something new to your weekly planning process, or maybe start one if you don't have one yet. Because there is so much value in writing down your goals. There is actual science to back this up, that when you write down your goals, you're more likely to achieve them. And when you look back at those goals you've written down, you are even more likely to achieve them. So that's another great thing about writing those 3 questions that I answer at the end of the day. Write in the same space that I write down my goals and my habit tracker. Because at the end of the day, I can also see what healthy habits I have been consistent with in that day, what appointments and important things I have to remember for the next day, and what my goals are to help me keep the big picture in mind and know where my focus should be tomorrow. And another quick note before I finish up here is that at the end of every day when I'm writing down these questions, I will also take some time to write out my to-do list for the next day so that in the morning I can just get started on something, knowing where my focus is, because honestly, I'm probably my most clear-headed at night. So I will take some time to write out my to-do list, and because I have this right in front of me, my goals, my appointments, my healthy habits, I will know what to put into my to-do list. And I write my to-do list in my phone because I don't see any value in keeping that, because you just delete it and start again the next day. That's how I see it anyway. So I write it in my phone. I write it in the Notes app. So yeah, there we go. Now that's more complete. Everything about how I plan my week and my days depending on how I plan my week. So I hope this has been helpful to you, inspirational, insightful, and that you found this video interesting. If you did, please give it a like to let me know, and consider subscribing to my channel. I would love some more support here on YouTube. I can't promise that I'll be consistent this year, but there will be some new videos coming soon in future months, so keep an eye out. And if you'd like to see even more of my content, I strongly encourage you to follow me on Instagram. I'll have the links in my bio of here on YouTube, and also in the description box below. So thank you, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and I will answer them. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day and a great week.